Hello, everybody. Travis Garland, CEO of Kickstand AI.
Has in that moment when he's with a patient, he gives them 100%, whether it's me as a staff member getting treated or his patients that come in. And I think when you give like that to your profession or your practice, it comes back to you. And so he invests into us as a team, us as leaders.
Idea of staying with the times puts into it the conversation around what the new AI capabilities are all about, like what's happening out there. And what we often find is that organizations fall into a couple of different buckets. Haven't tried it. I'm kind of hesitant about kind of putting my toe in the waters of that bucket.
Our text messages, communications, all of that, like reschedules. We have an app now that patients use where they can pull up, and through our app, they have access to their appointments.
Staying up with all of this stuff, how do you manage not necessarily the speed of things, but the stability of your organization, so you're not always jumping from one thing to another when the new stuff, the better stuff comes out in a world that has new and better stuff coming at the populace?
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Travis Garland, CEO of Kickstand AI. Today, I'm sitting down with someone who's quietly building something remarkable in the heart of rural Nebraska. Jenna Rivera is the Director of Operations at Active Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture, a multi-location holistic health practice with 5 clinics across their network. Active Family isn't just a chiropractic clinic, it's a whole body wellness destination, serving every generation from newborns to grandparents under personalized care that addresses the root causes, not just the symptoms. Under Jenna's operational leadership, Active Family has grown into one of Central Nebraska's most trusted names in wellness, ranked among the top practices with integrity doctors, offering everything from chiropractic adjustments and acupuncture to spinal decompression, cold laser therapy, metabolic health, and rehabilitation. What makes Jenna's story especially compelling is the intersection of rural community healthcare, multi-location operational management, and smart use of technology that scales patient-centered care without losing the personal touch. That defines Active Family's culture. Jenna, welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you so much for having me. That was quite the introduction.
Yeah, that's fair. I will say that you and I have had a couple conversations leading into this. I've been quite intrigued, not only from the multi-site location stuff that you guys have going on, certainly lots of training. We actually just had a quick conversation about some of the advanced training capabilities that you guys are infusing into your different clinics and with your doctors. And you guys are quite busy. So tell me a little bit about Active. Tell me a little bit what you're up to, and just introduce yourself a little bit for the audience.
Okay, awesome. Well, I am super excited to share about Active Family and what's going on. We've got a ton of exciting stuff happening right now. I've been with Active Family, the practice, for 18 years, and it opened back in September of 2007. So coming up on 19 years here soon. And it started out just one doctor and myself, and now we've grown it to those 5 different clinic locations with multiple providers. Wow. And it's awesome. So, what's going on right now is we've been treating patients chiropractically for, like I said, 18, 19 years. And we felt like we were missing a piece of that treatment. We saw a lot of great results with chiropractic care. Patients had wonderful outcomes, but there was something missing. And so we've started incorporating treating metabolic health with patients. So treating not only structurally what's wrong, but treating them neurologically and metabolically. And so we're doing a lot of gut health and metabolic treatments. We're also treating neuropathy with patients that have nerve loss, nerve function not at 100%. And we are also learning new decompression protocols for patients with disc injuries. So lots of amazing stuff happening right now.
For sure. Well, so you mentioned quite a bit there. Let me unpack the first part of that, which is you guys started out as yourself and one other chiropractor almost 20 years ago. 5 clinics now, 5 different sites. Lots of years have progressed. Science has progressed. Your guys' capabilities certainly. How did you move from just 2 people to having almost a dozen chiropractors, multiple sites? What's that progression been like for you guys?
It's been a wild ride. And I will say one thing is the doctor that I work for, Dr. Scott Reef, is a visionary. He is a phenomenal leader. He's a phenomenal chiropractor. He gives 100% of what he has in that moment when he's with a patient, he gives them 100%, whether it's me as a staff member getting treated or his patients that come in. And I think when you give like that to your profession or your practice, it comes back to you. And so he invests into us as a team, us as leaders. He's really poured into us to carry out that vision that he has and those dreams and his patient care. And so it started out just him and I was actually in school still at that point, thinking that I wanted to be a teacher. And anybody that knows me now is like, you would never make a great teacher. I'm like, thanks. But he's like, hey, do you love what you're going to school for? And I'm like, it's all right. And he's like, hey, you want to go back to school and become an x-ray tech? And so I was running the office, went back to school, which really, as an employee, the fact that he would invest that into me and be like, hey, go do this. And I got to be a part of the care part with the patients more at that point, taking their x-rays and things like that. And then we just started adding staff to help us with that dream, because we do a lot of therapies in the office. It's not just the doctor and one staff member. We have like other staff that come in and help provide some of those therapies that our patients receive. And then we added another doctor and it just kept going.
Wow. So that storyline of the more organic growth is something that we hear quite a bit. And it sounds like I'm not sure if it's what the storyline is for every small business or small organization, but I would certainly say I have yet to come across somebody who intentionally wrote down their plan. In 20 years, I'm going to have 5 clinics and 12 chiropractors. Like, that's just never been the case. But what often is the case is somebody who may not write it down, may not explicitly state it, but that has the vision of what it's going to be. And it certainly sounds like that's where you guys began. It began as a maybe not strategic, but certainly the vision of where we'd like to really take this thing. And each progressive step has kind of led that way. So I'm gonna save the question of where you guys heading for the tail end of this podcast, because I feel like there's probably something in there that the visionary of Active Family is really pushing towards. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about that. As you think about the progress that you guys have made over, I'll say 2 decades worth of time together, what's been the space as far as technology? Of course, given Kickstand AI's space here around AI and automations and workflow capabilities within the software development space and kind of putting together those workflows, I obviously am a little bit biased towards the curiosity around the technology of 20 years worth of growth. AI has not always been there, but certainly technology has. How has that influenced your guys' progress?
Wow. I mean, when I first started, we still had paper charts. So anyone that works in healthcare, they can talk about pulling charts, filing paperwork. When a doctor wants to know something, I'm like looking for the chart and anyway, we still had a computer for our schedule. We weren't quite that old where we had a printed calendar that we were writing patients' names on, but a lot of it was still paper. And then we still had film x-rays when I was taking x-rays. So chemicals and processors and all of that. So we've gone from a dark room with film and paper charts to where now everything's digital and everything's electronic health records. And so technology has played a huge part at making us more efficient and honestly just keeping up with the times. If I feel like when you're not using technology, you're behind the times. It can feel easier at the moment, but eventually you're going to be forced into it anyway. So learning it and being a little bit ahead of the game, I feel like has benefited us in a lot of ways. So there's a lot of technology we use. I don't know how deep you want me to go into it, but that's kind of where we were to where now everything is, a lot of what we do is automated, I should say.
Yeah. It's, I think that there's always space for our audience to hear some more about the technology space and where you're comfortable, happy to walk into that with you, because the idea of staying with the times puts into it the conversation around what the new AI capabilities are all about, like what's happening out there. And what we often find is that organizations fall into a couple of different buckets. Haven't tried it. I'm kind of hesitant about kind of putting my toe in the waters of that. Bucket's shrinking quite a bit. Another one tried it, didn't get the impact. Another one, I threw a bunch of money at it and it didn't produce the ROI I expected. AI has a way of galvanizing some individual towards the future in a way of just completely fragmenting a business because they don't harness it the way that it could be used, or their expectations, right? Jenna, might be so completely off that they think there's an easy button and you can just hit it and then boom, AI is just going to do everything for you and it's just going to be a magical thing. Kickstand AI likes to believe things are magic, but we know that it's not. It's a very practical approach to stuff to try and make things happen. But we've had the same experience. There's organizations that have been successful. There's others that, especially within the small organization space, that aren't throwing millions of dollars at AI because either they don't want to, they're hesitant, they don't have it, whatever that might be. But that chasm between those using the technology and those that have harnessed it and throw millions and millions of dollars at it continues to grow in our experience. And that's where we typically land. So that staying up with the times is a fun space for us to talk about, because of course that's really where we're at, is how do we make sure that folks do stay up?
Yeah.
And a funny story, maybe not so funny, but I will tell you, in a recent conversation with a company, I was provided some details around their organization walking in, and they still have a fax number. And it's sort of like I snickered at myself when I saw it, because I thought, who in the world uses faxes these days? But it's still there. There's still some legitimate uses behind it. There's some need that's still there. So not always is keeping up with the times completely getting rid of the stuff that you use. It just kind of progressively moves towards something. You guys have been progressively moving towards the new thing for quite some time in order to stay in business, I can imagine. So what is, when you think about that, say the past, 2024 to now, what has been that progression of technology for you guys as you moved through the spaces from, microfiche films at the library to doing something that's fully digital? Like, what's that look like for you guys?
Yeah, I'm just to touch base on a few things you mentioned. So fax, we still have a fax number because there's a lot of insurance companies. There's little insurance companies that they don't have all the technology, but our faxes don't come in and print out on a piece of paper. They go into an e-fax, where you access it on your computer. But it's funny that you say that, because it's really hard to get a younger staff member to be like, we're going to fax something. And they're like, this is so hard.
Yes.
Email seems so much easier when that's all you know. And I think AI for us, we've started using it in different ways. I'm blessed with a few people on my team that are tech minded. I would say that I'm probably 50% as much as my best tech minded person. So my owner, and then I've got a couple of guys that are very tech savvy. I dabble a little bit in no, there's got to be a code that's triggering that to happen automatically here. And other people are like, what are those words you're even using? So I think it comes to having a big team. There's such a difference in what some people know about AI and coding and what's making that work, and other people that are like, oh, I have no idea what you're even talking about. So that can be tricky. I think using it and implementing it when you want everybody to use it when they don't have that back knowledge. So for us, one thing that I feel like we've learned, you said 2024 to now, I feel like I have to go back a little bit more. We have all of our text messages, communications, all of that, like reschedules. We have an app now that patients use where they can pull up, and through our app, they have access to their appointments. Instead of just getting the reminder the day ahead of time, if they need to plan accordingly, they can pull up their app, and then they can just, with a click of a button, they have access to their doctor's appointment. They can reschedule it themselves instead of having to call and talk to someone. Because I don't know about you, but if I'm going to order pizza, which I don't do often because it's not good for you, but if I do, I'm probably going to order it on my phone. I don't want to call and talk to a person. I just want to order it myself.
Who does? Yes.
And so patients want to be able to reschedule their own appointments. They want to be able to look at them and know what's happening. So that's one thing that I think that we use that's great. But we wanted to use AI more, and we're not using it everywhere we want to, because I want to say this, that I don't think all AI is created equally. And
100%.
That's something that we found out, because we go to conferences or we talk to other chiropractors or other healthcare physicians. What are you guys using, or what are you doing? And try and get a feel. And so we had a certain company, I don't want to name them, but a certain company that was recommended to us, and they presented so well. And he was a chiropractor that had this company. And so we purchased that or signed up with them, and, it just wasn't good. And I don't, the AI that was calling the patients didn't sound like a person. Didn't have good rebuttals, awkward pauses. The patient would answer a question and then the AI wouldn't catch it. So then they would re-ask a question, and you could hear the patient's frustration when you would listen to the calls. Different things like that. And so thankfully I have forward thinkers on my team. They're like, this can't be the best that there is. Like, I have to look for something else. And wow, just the difference in looking for something else and not necessarily being satisfied that, oh, well, this just means that all AI doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just searching and looking and working to make it
Yeah.
work for you.
Oof, that's it. When you say that, there's a couple things that trigger in my head. One is just the pace of the movement of AI. The points that there are AI models, packages, softwares, whatever you might want to call it, that are out there that are less than par and some that are exceptional. That's going to be the case. I would say it's probably just the case when you think about automobiles or when you think about home builders or when you think about whatever it is. There's definitely a breadth because AI is not just AI, right? Not everybody's using it, building the same way and doing those kinds of things. But the pace of it is what's fascinating. And you mentioned, I'll say voice agents, someone that would call a line and the agent backed up by a large language model that has the generative speech plus the voice together paired up to answer questions. That is a very it's a prominent space. It's growing very, very quickly, and there's lots of organizations who are doing it. Many who are doing it exceptionally well. And when I think about I'll say a voice agent, a receptionist in this case, who might have been called to do a specific thing, that is it's an area that has become so progressively powerful that it's all, I wouldn't say the mainstay yet, but it's definitely something that, as far as information is concerned, it's being used quite a bit, to the extent that most people might not even recognize that they're speaking with somebody that or an agent at this point, because the voice sounds exceptionally clear.
Yeah.
The pauses are natural. There are codes that actually use the fillers that we as humans always use, the O's and the ums and the likes, and it becomes a very powerful thing. But the progress that you were mentioning, which is, let me just go out because there's got to be something that's better than this.
Mm-hmm.
The question that I have for you is, how do you guys, knowing that you're staying up with all of this stuff, how do you manage not necessarily the speed of things, but the stability of your organization, so you're not always jumping from one thing to another when the new stuff, the better stuff comes out, in a world that has new and better stuff coming at the populace,
Yeah.
Every month? How do you guys balance that stability for your patients and your doctors?
Gosh, isn't that a struggle in 2026?
Ugh.
It's almost, if I don't want to say that it could be fatiguing or tiresome at times, but one thing that I try to make sure that we do as a team is that saying I just used, there has to be a better way. If you don't think that way, then you're always going to do it the way you've done it. Dr. Reef, our owner, yesterday was just talking in our training. He goes, I graduated from school 20 years ago. We can't just take the science that I learned in school 20 years ago and think that that's all that we've learned. In 20 years, science has changed so much. We've learned so much about the human body and how it heals and what we can do to help our patients.
Yeah.
And so I work for a leader like that, so that with me being director of operations, that transitions into operations. We as a team, and I try to make sure that when someone approaches me, say Kickstand AI or any of the other software companies, I try to make sure that I don't shut it out immediately. I try to listen and see what they have to offer, compare it to maybe another company that's contacted me. And then when I know we have the space and we have the foundation for growth at that time, I might invest more of my time researching it. And then I might bring in a leadership team, like my district managers, to say, hey, I want you to listen to this and see if you think it will help our teams. Because just because it will help me, if it doesn't help my frontline worker and doesn't honor our core value of patient care coming first, if it's not going to improve patient care in the end, it's not going to align with my core values, because that's my main priority. But a lot of our technology does impact patient care. So I think it's not being closed off to what's new and giving it the time of day, but balancing, like you said, how do you do it without getting overwhelmed? Sometimes just knowing, is this a time where even if this was the greatest thing, would my team have the bandwidth to implement it right now?
Oof. Yeah.
So that's where I try to make that decision before I present it forward.
Yeah. Sounds like a wise leader's comments there for sure. What I want to step into with you now, Jenna, you've hit me on the technology space. I'm going to step away from that for a second. The idea that patient care is the prominent, most important key focus area, I imagine, as part of your mission, is probably part of what has launched the organization and continues to help it grow and be nurtured. Tell me a little bit about the stuff that's happening within Active, because what I know about, I know you guys are a chiropractic space. You've got acupuncture, you've got decompression. Tell me a little bit about those kinds of offerings, because they sound plentiful. It sounds like it is a whole wellness kinds of organization. But tell me a little bit more about what you guys have going as far as services for clients that are coming in, for patients.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that our patients can come here and get so much treatment and care from their provider and our team, because the spine and the muscles work together. And when we pretend they don't, you're missing an aspect of it. And so that's one thing that we've always done. And so we do offer, like you mentioned, services. We offer a lot of passive therapies for our patients. So we have intersegmental traction. We have E-stem electrical stimulation that we use.
Mm-hmm.
We have spinal decompression. We have cold laser. We have ultrasound. And those are the primary passive therapies that we currently offer. We are incorporating new ones. We haven't even started really offering them, but we're training on what's called TheraRay. And that is an infrared and red light therapy that's 4 times as strong as cold laser. It's the newest technology in that department. And then we're also starting to use what's called a rebuilder, so that we can make sure when we're treating neuropathy or disc issues that we're treating the entire cervical and lumbar axis of the patient, and we can rebuild not just the stressful issues, but the neurological issues. Because when a patient has an injury, it doesn't just affect the structure. There's a neurological component that needs to be rebuilt so that they don't fall victim to re-injury. Typically, if there's an injury or a trauma for the next 4 years neurologically, you're more likely to repeat that if we don't heal it and we don't completely get that patient well. So we're using those for that. We also have active rehab in our office where we're getting our patients stretching. We have different phases of that where they're going to be doing stretches. Then we're going to be making sure that we're activating the correct muscles, and then we're going to be strengthening them. And so sometimes patients love it. Sometimes patients hate it because we give them homework. And that's what I tell them whenever I'm working with them. I say, listen, I'm going to be your favorite, but maybe not your favorite, because after today, I'm going to show you these stretches. I'm going to have you show me that you know how to do them, but then the ball's in your court. And you get out of it what you put into it. When that comes into play, a lot of our doctors can say, I can adjust your spine over and over, but if you're not going to do your part and treat those muscles, you're going to have this reoccurring issue. And so I love working for a facility that does that. And now that we're incorporating nutrition and metabolic health, knowing what chronic inflammation causes on a person's health and how we can help solve that, it's phenomenal. We've seen amazing results with our patients. Myself, I went through the gut health protocol, and it made a huge improvement in my health, which I already considered myself to be healthy. But I always say, you don't know how good you can feel until you feel that good.
Yeah, that's true.
And so that, and then neuropathy, because neuropathy can really change a person's life, where they lose their ability to care for themselves or do what they want to do. And so that's been a huge impact for our patients as well. So, I mean, those are all services that we're currently doing and having amazing outcomes with.
Jeez. So you've got some foundational services being provided. You've got some new stuff that's coming out. Red light therapy seems to be a fascinating thing. That's no doubt an area where you guys are walking into, as you mentioned. The space here of how your patients respond to within, I used to say this was the 10 by 10 space of the PCP office. I'm not sure if I really want to call yours the 10 by 10 because it doesn't feel quite like that. But as you very well stated, we can adjust your spine over and over again. But if you guys aren't going to do something proactively and engaged as an engaged patient, it's going to fall fruitless. How do you continue to just stay engaged with patients? Like this seems like the age old question of patients drifting away either between sessions, away from treatment, or drifting away from the practice because they feel better, right? And so I don't know how many times you guys have heard that, but tell me a little bit about how you continue to engage patients post adjustment.
Yeah. No, I think, first of all, I say to them, of course, it's just like when you go to the gym and you say, oh my gosh, this gym is awesome. I worked out. I lost 30 pounds. This is great. I've hit my goal. Now I don't need to come to the gym anymore. That doesn't really work, right? What's going to happen in 6 months? You've got the 30 pounds back because you quit doing what got you the 30-pound of weight loss and feeling better in those results. And so chiropractic similarly, and with our office, if you come in, you get adjusted, we get you out of pain, but you're going to go back to doing your daily activities, cleaning your house, picking up your kids, sitting with not great posture, maybe your workstation's not ergonomic, whatever it is that you had happen that was causing your spinal misalignments and subluxations and issues, you're probably going to go back to a lot of that, right? So there's maintenance that you have to continue to take care of it. We don't wait until we have a cavity to brush our teeth. We brush our teeth to prevent cavities. We don't want to wait until you need back surgery to be treating your spine. We want to be doing preventative maintenance care. So to keep patients engaged, some of it's education. And a lot of that is automated with videos at this point. Some of those text message reminders, making sure they don't forget about their appointments so they have attendance compliance there. Some of it's videos when they're coming in at certain milestones of their treatment plan, of just re-educating them about what's happening inside of their body and how we continue it. And it's the one-on-one patient care. So we have a lot of technology, but there's a lot that we still have patient, we have staff education, and that makes better educated patients. And we believe a patient that's informed about their healthcare choices is going to make a better choice. So we try to make sure they have all the information that they need to make the best choice about their health and the health of their family.
Yeah. It's when you think of the new sort of burgeoning stuff that you guys have coming out, do you proactively reach out to folks that fit a specific, forgive me, I'm not quite sure what the phrase here, but that fit a specific sort of diagnostic profile? This person's come in with this sort of subluxation, and we want to make sure that because that typically leads to this, it can be solved or supported with this kind of therapy that we're releasing. Do you reach out to patients proactively and say, hey, we know you're coming in for this, but consider this when you come in next time. We'll talk to you a little bit more about this new treatment that might be an option. Is that how you guys go about it? Or is it almost always in clinic?
Mostly with the new treatment options we have, it's with the new patients that come in when we see that they qualify or that they would be a good candidate. So for example, let's just use Metabolic. It's easy for me to talk about that, mostly because I feel like most people in America, our diet is over processed. We have a lot of sugar that we eat. There's a lot of additives in our food, and it's a fast food society because we're busy, right? And so people a lot of times have a hard time just eating meats, fruits, and vegetables, and if we got back to just eating meats, fruits, and vegetables, how much healthier would we be? We don't really know until we try it and we're like, wow, I feel so much better. But a new patient comes in and they're coming in for chiropractic care. Let's say they have back pain. And we notice on their paperwork, they also struggle with chronic fatigue, migraines, hormonal imbalance. They have IBS and joint pain. Well, most doctors want to take out, okay, well, I'm a chiropractor. I treat joint pain and back pain, but you can't ignore all those other symptoms that are typically a metabolic issue. And if we don't, at that point, when the patient comes in for pain, if we don't talk to them about those other symptoms and how we do have a solution for them, it's almost a disservice to that patient because you only told them what you thought they wanted to hear instead of what they actually needed. And that's not always easy. Doctors are human.
Yeah.
And they want to make their patients happy, but more than that, they have to want to make them well. And the patient needs to hear what they really need, not just what they want to hear.
Oh, it's painful. It's painful as a patient sometimes to think about that their job. I would love it if it was just easy to get better. If it really was a pill to make all things better and happy.
Yeah.
And there isn't. And despite what commercials may say, there's no short path to being well, to being fully well. The idea of eating well and nutrition being a big deal. Not obviously. Kickstand AI has two divisions. One of them is a traditional healthcare space. The other one is what we refer to as the plant-powered innovation space. And our traditional healthcare space is really all about once you're sick, what do you do? It's all about sick care and helping people get healthier once they are sick. What we're moving toward on the passion side of things is how do we make sure that as personally we believe in this, professionally this is what we're drifting toward, is how do we make sure that we work with organizations that fully believe in that same mantra, that you could truly be healthy and never walk into sick care. You don't need it because what you're doing is proactive, it's preventative. You can eat well, you can exercise, you can do things in your life like establish healthy relationships, live in clean spaces, eat clean food, do the kinds of things that as humans are quite easy to do, like walk, Like, don't get in the car and walk, drive a half a mile to the grocery store. Like, take the 10 minutes it takes to walk there with a grocery cart or with your bag, and walk there and come back with your day's fruits and vegetables, right? So there's this sort of concept of, how do we continue to help support organizations like that? It sounds like you're voicing something that's really powerful for us as well, which is really the reminder that providers and clinics are standing tall on the idea that we are a fast food based society. We're a society based on preservatives, a society based on processed, and you start taking those things out and you become a society based on wellness, right? The sort of blue zones, if I kind of reference some of that other stuff that's out there, right? And for us, that vision of what we want to do is something that we're consistently pushing toward. The strategic vision for you guys, for Active Family, how do you see 2026 coming about in not only that wellness space, but how you guys plan on getting there, nurturing your patients, nurturing your organization? How do you plan on just taking wellness in 2026 to a different level? What's the vision there?
I think it's mastering the new services that we're implementing. And then once I feel like we're moving that direction now, like with the metabolic program, the neuropathy, the decompression protocols, we've always been wellness minded with our chiropractic and our therapies, but it's almost, how can we do what we were already doing, but do it better? And one way that we're doing that with our nutrition, and it's called Blueprint, which is the company that we use, that we have partnered with for our supplements and nutrition and protocols. There's a part of that has an app that different than the appointment app, but it's a wellness app, and it's sending the patient reminders to take their nutrition. It's telling them when to implement new foods and see how you respond to it. It gives them a place to track what they're eating, drinking, and exercising. And then the doctors have access to that. They can message their doctors directly on that platform. And so where I see it in 2026 is just maybe louder and prouder, so that we take those success stories from patients and we start telling people about it more and more. Like you said, most of us want an easy button, but there comes a point where you realize there's not an easy button. And I love how you said it's not that hard to eat healthy.
Yeah.
But wow, they say what's in our food is more addictive than nicotine and could be even more addictive than crack cocaine. Yeah. So when you have a patient come in and you tell them, hey, I can help you with fatigue and weight loss and chronic headaches and IBS. I have a patient that did the protocol and she looked at me and she has Crohn's disease. There's no cure for Crohn's. And she's already had one colon resection. And she looked at me and she goes, I will do whatever it takes not to have another one. So if this is going to help to continue to heal my gut lining and keep me healthy so I don't have a bag for my discarded waste, wow, I will do whatever you want me to do, you know? But most of the time, patients, when I tell them, well, we're going to do an anti-inflammatory diet for a certain amount of time, depending what protocol and how severe their symptoms are. You're going to eat these foods. And the list of foods, there's so much on there, but it's funny. Usually we're like, oh, you mean I can't have this? We pick the one thing we can't have when there's a whole list of a lot of food you can eat.
Yeah.
And then we're going to add nutrition, because a lot of people will ask us, well, why can't I just eat healthy then? Why do I need to buy like nutrition? And why do I need accountability? Well, most people are not going to hold themselves accountable and do it on their own. There are a few, there's some, but most of us need an accountability partner. And that's where our doctors and wellness coordinators come in and help do that for them. But our food, like you mentioned, is processed. And so even if we eat a healthy diet, many times we're still not getting the minerals and nutrients that we need to. That's where that nutrition comes in. It helps heal the damage we've done, seal it, and then replenish it so that now you can introduce, oh yeah, it's my anniversary. I want to have cake and ice cream. Well, I should be able to eat that on occasion and not have a reaction and not cause systematic inflammation in my body because I'm healthy. I'm eating healthy enough all the other time and getting that dense nutrition in my body that I can withstand when I want to have a cheat day. Yeah. You know, because we want to live still, right? Like you're never not going to eat ice cream again.
Yeah. Oh, oh gosh, cheat days are fun. It's a fun topic to hit on. But let me avoid that because that's probably another podcast entirely. The idea of the addictive nature of our food is fascinating. I'm going to hit on one, cheese, as probably one of the highest. And it is incredibly difficult. And so I appreciate you sort of giving me the call out on the, like, it's not that easy, Travis. There's no easy AI button, and there's no easy health, easy eating button either. I get it. I get it. And I have, I've battled that with our family on how to handle some of those things. And what we often talk about, and just to give you what's a snippet of what was in my head as you were talking, the idea of what our food has been built and engineered to do for us. It has nothing to do with our bodies and has all to do with our taste buds and our tongues. And if you can convince somebody that it tastes good so it thus is good, it has been a farce, right? For us, as we continue to grow as humans and sort of move through time, there's this greater sense of the captured state of humans within the space of marketing and engineering and all sorts of things to our food, let alone, I'm going to put a toe in this, the lobbying nature of what it takes to make that stuff happen. But all that aside, there's sort of this feeling of, you guys have a strategic vision to really harness those kinds of modalities to really help people feel healthier in 2026. I'm getting away from my comments there for a quick second for everybody else. But there's this sense of the fact that we're moving into a space that technology is there to help us do better. Food is more available than it ever has been in most areas. And the right kinds of food, while they're still sparse sometimes, it's available. It's out there. You have to make very difficult choices. Sometimes it can be really hard to make those choices, especially because food is so intertwined in our daily life, our cultures, our values, our family gatherings, our celebrations, that it can be tough to manage that kind of stuff, but you can. And it sounds like with the help of accountability partners and your guys' providers there at Active Family, there's definitely something you guys are harnessing for 2026. I'm excited to see that continue to grow. So let me give you the last little bit here, the time on the table, to really say, here's my magic wand, Travis, that I'm going to wave for what I think 2026 is going to look like. Hit me up on what, if you had to pick your AI or technology space and your physical wellness or physical mental health wellness space, those two areas, what's your magic wand that you would just wave over those two areas and say, here's what I would love when I'm walking into 2027, those two things look like for Active Family?
Gosh, I feel like you're wanting me to reveal my cards.
Oh, as you wish. You can muck them and not let me know, but your choice.
So technology first, I would say right now, I'm partnering with one of my team members that our online digital paperwork that our patients complete for us floods into the doctor's notes. So we're 75% of the way there right now. So when you're a patient filling out that you have headaches, low back pain, you rated it at, your VAS scale, your quality of life, all those different things. When you fill that out on your paperwork, that auto populates into the doctor's notes. So one, accuracy, because it's right from the patient's mouth, and then hopefully to create more work-life balance for my physicians, because they see a lot of patients. Most of them do. And none of them said, oh, I want to become a doctor so that I can sit and fill out insurance forms and do notes and paperwork. You do not become, especially a chiropractor. It's such a healing art form. And part of that is relational and through touch. And that's what they became a chiropractor, because they want to help patients, not because they want to do paperwork. But unfortunately, we have to, right? Like we bill insurance. So a lot of our claims go through insurance companies. And so that's exciting. 2026, we will have that automated. And then I want to use that voice AI to help with, right now, all of our phones are still live answered by our staff. Okay. I don't know that I'll get my owning physicians to want to move towards AI with that fully, because it gives that feeling, because we are in rural Nebraska, small town, lots of farming communities, lots of that around us. They're not always as open to that technology maybe. And so we don't want to lose where we're at, but we also don't want to be behind the times. I would love to have AI by 2026 doing outbound, like, hey, we missed you for your appointment. We need to get you rescheduled at least. If we still live answer, that's okay. But I at least want it doing like the outbound calls for missed appointments and things like that. So technology, those would be two things I'm willing to share.
That's cool. That's fair enough. And I know you've already mentioned a couple of the mental and physical wellness spaces. Any additional thoughts in there around? I won't make you reveal anything else. You already gave me a little bit on the AI tech side. Anything else besides the new technology on the wellness, the treatment modalities, red light therapy space? Anything else you wanna tease us with on that one?
I just think I'm super excited for our decompression protocol. I just want to talk a
Okay.
little bit about that. It hits home for me because my husband has two herniated discs in his low back, and this happened a really long time ago. And so he had an injury, came in, got adjusted, saw our doctors regularly, and felt much better, was able to avoid surgery, things like that. But he had chronically like re-injured it to where, okay, it just progressively got worse. That herniation
Mhm.
got worse. We would get rid of the pain and get him fully functioning, but then it would happen again. And so with these decompression protocols, we have lots of patients that have had that experience. And with these decompression protocols, I'm excited to see the clinical outcomes that are in the studies and that have been resolved, where it's not that we're still going to be doing decompression, but we're adding to it, and it's going to be so much more effective. So I'm excited for patients that maybe have had that reoccurring injury and issue to be able to actually heal it once and for all, to where they're not having that re-injury coming back. And so I'm
Mhm.
excited to see it with our patients. I'm excited to see it work for my husband.
Yeah.
And just in general, being able to help people more effectively and efficiently gets us excited at Active Family, because that's what it's all about, helping people.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. It's a good place for us to end, but I always leave a little bit of time for anything on the table here. Any final words from Active Family or from yourself, Jenna, that you want to make sure the audience hears about before we jump off?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for chatting today. It was fun to talk about what we're passionate about. That's
Yeah,
about it.
sounds great. All right. Thank you, Jenna.
Thanks.